Morning.
Hey, how's it going?
What's going on?
Say morning?
Sure. It's dark right now, so it looks like morning.
Oh.
Just a quick shout out to Mr. Boggins for making that music for us. Yay!
Yay.
It was beautiful.
Round of applause.
Welcome in, everybody, to the MHRT podcast. We go live every Thursday, 7654. You know where to put it. We go live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. If you notice, Christy is not with us today. She is having some family time, which is fine. Most of us are papas or husbands or sons or something, so we understand. We get it. Have fun, and good luck with whatever. All right, so I'm not gonna keep harping on all that. I mean, we got the little ticker thing down at the bottom. You can read that. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all that. We've got a Richie Rich, Das Boot, and I are here and ready to go. Raul, hello from San Diego. What's up, Vic? How's it going there, Rich? Hope all is well. Mark Langley, that's a new name. Yay, Mark.
What's up, Mark?
MHH. What's up, Mark? What's up, good? So, kind of a lot to cover. I mean, we try to be as relaxed and fan friendly as possible, just kind of chatting. We do have, what's up, Albert? We do have kind of a lot to talk about. I mean, we've got the recap of the Super Bowl. We've got some roster moves. We've got some quarterback rankings that went up on NFL.com. So I mean, there's some things to talk about. So let's dig right in. How about that Chiefs loss and that Tom Brady number 7 ring?
Ah, man, talk about picking your poisons there. It was crazy. It wasn't the result that I was expecting. I think that goes saying for everybody. I don't think anybody was expecting the Chiefs to lose like that. You know, if you were to go back in time and tell people that, Patrick Mahomes was not going to score a single touchdown or the Kansas City running game was going to be darn near absent, they'd have called you crazy. But I actually had the Chiefs picked in the suicide pool to win it all. So I was just one more win away, and I would have won another. I don't know if you can see it. It's that little Lombardi trophy right there that I won 3 years ago when I picked the Eagles to win it all. So
Other than that, chucking that thing in between boats.
Yeah.
Or flinging the Lombardi trophy.
He doesn't have 6. He doesn't have 6 other ones.
Yeah,
I don't even think Gronk caught that thing. Like, who did he throw it to? I know it was the Gronk boat.
It was Cameron Brate.
Brate? Okay.
Yeah.
Honestly, I thought it was a woman. So, my bad.
Honestly,
it could be a woman's name. You never know.
The first nice day, Don needs to go to Lake Michigan and start throwing his Lombardi trophy.
Just start throwing it around
across the ice.
Yeah. No, I mean, I didn't want the Chiefs to win because I don't want them to go back to back. And I said before, like, does it really matter if Tom Brady wins another ring? I mean, he's got 6. The closest one to him as far as quarterbacks go is 4. So does it really matter at this point?
No.
He's just extending his lead. He's not like breaking records. He's already got them all. So I mean, does it really matter at this point?
No, I mean, that was kind of the lesser of the two for me, and that's the only positive I would have gotten from if the Chiefs had won. It would have pushed Peyton maybe a little bit more to do something crazy in the offseason, be like, "Whoa, I really gotta do something." But besides that, I was praying for a meteor, and it didn't happen for some reason. So I'll take a Brady win, I guess. That's just whatever.
See, for
me, what's up, fellas? Hey, good job on MHH, by the way. That was good.
Awesome last night.
I missed it. I got to go back and check it out.
that was good.
Yeah.
That was good.
Sorry, Glenn, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, we got to welcome Mo. See, it's for me, it was. I mean, first of all, how do you pick against Brady in the Super Bowl? I mean, the percentages are so high that he's going to win. Secondly, the fact that the Chiefs are in our division, we don't want to give them any more confidence going into the future, and also living where I live, it's nice to have the fans of the where Brady used to play lamenting the fact that they're of course all now Tom Brady fans again, but lamenting the fact that he that what could have been. So that was but I mean, we can't forget about the performance of Mahomes though. I mean, it wasn't Brady winning that game, it was the defense. And I've never seen a guy scrambling around like that. And some of the throws that he was making while scrambling on a foot that's going to require surgery was just astounding.
The dodgeball meme.
Yeah.
Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah.
I loved it. No, I kept seeing, like, after the Super Bowl was done, I kept seeing people posting that the Bucs Super Bowl defense was better than the Super Bowl 50 Broncos Super Bowl defense.
No one should have posted that.
Shut it down. Not even close.
That's
Like,
weird.
why? I mean, like, the Bucs defense in the playoffs was way different than the defense in the regular season. They stepped it way up in the playoffs. And Raul's got a question about the tackles. Does KC not having their starting tackles an excuse for not doing better? I don't think the tackles played that bad. I mean, the backers. I'm just saying, like, the edge and the backers didn't really have free shots until it got about the fourth quarter, and then they were having free run at Mahomes. I mean, I don't think they played terrible. We're not talking Wilkinson bad.
Wilkinson even said they played terrible.
Yeah, you can't let a guy who has less fingers than you keep beating you at the punch.
But it's JPP. Like, he does that to everybody.
I don't know, but when it really counts, you should be able to put it.
I mean, you have one of the best front sevens, if not the best front seven in the NFL against some backup and you know who one of those tackles was our good old friend Mike Remmers, who speaking of Super Bowl 50, couldn't handle Von Miller, I don't remember which side he was on, but JPP or Shaq Barrett, the little protege of Von Miller. So I think it really affected, and especially when they kind of took some little hints from the Broncos, how we kind of bracket. We pretty much focus on Tyreek and Kelsey usually rips us because we don't have a linebacker that can do what Levante David was able to do. But Levante David pretty much shut down Kelsey, and then you just bracket Tyreek Hill, and then you take away two of his biggest weapons, and now you have two tackles that can't handle that front seven. I mean, you're asking for it. I mean, I'm surprised it wasn't that obvious beforehand what potentially could have happened. I mean, I think just the name Patrick Mahomes has this just like God figure to it that's just like, well, it's Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he can do. I mean, he almost did do anything. He had some moments where you're just like, how? And no one can catch the ball.
Well, you're right. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think that, like, the tackles were a problem, but I don't think the tackles were the biggest problem. The biggest problem was getting the ball hitting you in the face mask and you're not catching it.
But he's diving when that's happening.
Right.
Someone's coming at him.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, you got to catch the ball.
Yeah, that would have been great.
Yeah. I also think that the offense, either Bieniemy or Andy Reid, if you're watching that your offensive line is getting beat, then you should have called, some more screen plays, punish the line for getting up that close. Or obviously the running game for Kansas City was pretty much absent. And once they saw that, Edwards-Helaire got like one or two good runs out of four quarters, and the deeper Kansas City fell, the less they leaned away from the running game.
I don't know if that really would have mattered, though. I mean, that Tampa defense was just everywhere. And honestly, Tom Brady had a good game, but I would have given the MVP to Levante David for covering Kelsey. That's just me. Like, Kelsey didn't do anything in that game.
Neither a couple catches, but not as normal.
I'm just saying, like, I think somebody on the defense should have won MVP over Brady, but because it's Brady, they weren't going to.
Yeah,
but that defense, I don't know if. I mean, if it would have been like a 9-12 game or 9-14, then I could see like changing something might have helped. Yeah. But it was 31-9. Like, I don't know if there's anything that they could have done to change anything.
I remember seeing someone post that the Chiefs imploded, and at first I didn't agree with that. I mean, I think it was like halftime when they're saying that the Chiefs were imploding, and I was like, well, they're used to this. Wait till they, second quarter, second half, they're just going to come out and rattle out 30 points like it's nothing. But I mean, the punter was shanking stuff. Like the defense was getting a ton of penalties. It was just like everything was happening to stop the Chiefs, and then it just went perfectly for the Bucs. Like the Bucs didn't even struggle really. I think what Brady was like 21 for 29 or something.
Yeah.
He didn't throw a ton of yards, but he didn't have to. They were just managing the game way better than the Chiefs were.
Yeah, the rest were just like, did Matthew just finger wave Tom Brady? Oh, that's a flag.
Yeah.
Well, like Rich was saying, Vita Vea is his MVP, but like if you watch, like you saw that the Bucs were like they would move Vita Vea from nose tackle to end and then back, and then they would switch JPP.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were able to adjust their defensive line to how the offensive line was lining up. So, I mean, the defense was just teeing up. There was, I don't think there was any chance at all.
They got Vita Vea back.
After the first quarter, it was done.
Isn't Vita Vea?
Muhammad's comment.
Which one? Who's?
Muhammad, so his last comment.
Boom.
I don't think it's very likely, but wouldn't it be great if Shaq Barrett was the Von Miller to Mahomes' Cam Newton? Wouldn't that be nice?
Well, and then so then
Yeah.
there's Jerry's question. Jerry's like, so does losing the Super Bowl mentally affect the Chiefs? Will they do better or backslide some? Honestly, I think a lot of this Super Bowl loss had to do with like the same reason that the Packers lost is because the Chiefs got greedy and drafted a running back in the first round instead of going after a defensive tackle or a corner or a linebacker or somebody to help them on defense, which is the same problem that the Packers had. They decided to go with a backup quarterback that's going to play 4 years from now instead of drafting someone to help out on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that statement. And pretty soon, Kansas City's they're gonna feel the strain of the salary cap. It won't be this coming season because they've made a lot of moves where, you know, with $100 they can retain 90% of their staff. But going forward in the future, they obviously know that in order to keep Mahomes as their golden goose, they're going to have to protect him. So it'll be interesting to see if their original, who was it? Their left, I don't know if it was their guard or their tackle that left originally to stay to fight. Yeah, the guard Tardif. If he comes back, it'll be interesting to see any of their injured tackles or guards,
Shorts.
or shorts. They'll be back if Kansas City can do anything in free agency. But obviously, the concern for them is there. And also, let me just add that because of and we may have talked about this before, but Andy Reid's head was not 100% in that game. So yeah. I'd like to think that most of the calls that we saw were mostly Eric Bieniemy coming from. The only Andy Reid thing that we saw him do was when he called the timeout before halftime, literally giving the Bucs a breather and a chance to score instead of just simply running down the clock.
Did you hear his answer in presser when they asked if they surprised him? They're like, "Did you expect that?" He's like, "No, I didn't. We didn't see that coming. We didn't see this."
we don't know anything about. We know nothing about ill-timed timeouts.
Yeah, obviously they didn't.
About that.
Obviously, they didn't see our last game against the Raiders where Vic Fangio. It was like copy and paste, damn near.
I don't really know if losing the Super Bowl is going to affect the Chiefs mentally or not. I mean, the Chiefs aren't really a team that was built for one Super Bowl run and then a collapse. Kind of like the Super Bowl 50 Broncos. Like once we won that Super Bowl, then everything just kind of went because defensive players left, Peyton Manning left. But with the Chiefs, like as far as we can tell, most of their rosters coming back. At least the core guys are.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't necessarily know if it'll affect them mentally.
And they're drafting well too.
Yeah, I think
another thing means that's good.
Well, yeah, I think now it's just going to be more of a concentration on what went wrong. So they're going to be concentrating more on the defensive side of the ball to keep them in games than worry about being able to throw the ball everywhere. Because offensive wise, I think they're pretty set.
But they do have a lot of money tied up with these existing players. So who knows what kind of impact they can have in free agency to fill those.
They have a really good young defense though now. I mean, Matthew's taking up a lot of it. Chris Jones is taking up quite a bit, but they still have Snead that's looking good. Thornhill,
Sorensen.
Gay Jr. Like Sorensen's got free agent this year, and he's like 31, I think. But they're a little overrated. I think it's been very situational, but they still have good. It's solid. It's still decently solid, and with that offense, you never, Chiefs, yeah,
Chiefs, okay,
yeah.
I don't think the Chiefs were as good this year as they were last year. I mean, they looked good. They looked better this year, but you could see that they would kind of crumple in close games.
Well, they only had one legit loss, and that was to the Raiders. The one to the Chargers, nobody really counts because the Chargers first stringers play.
What is a legit loss?
Backup.
Like that's like a loss is a loss. Like what is a legit loss?
A legit loss meaning like it would affect playoff.
Now you sound like the Chiefs fans, like, oh, the refs won the game.
Well, no,
I'm 15-1.
No, they lost the last week 17 against the Chargers, so they're 14-2. But they already had the number one seed. There was really no need for them to start their starters. But basically, the season that the Chiefs had, aside from that one loss and the fact that they kept winning, eventually you're going to lose. And when you do lose, you can't choose when you're going to lose. You know, so it's unfortunately it came at their expense at being the big one, the big game.
Chris Hernandez, I was surprised the Chiefs offense didn't adjust to the Bucs defense after the half. No help to the tackles. I mean, is there a way that they could have adjusted to help the tackles? I mean, we kind of saw like with Shermer and Denver how they would move the guards to be able to help with the running game. I mean, I know that they tried different aspects on offense to try to help. But I mean, screens are okay every now and again, but screens aren't really that effective if you run them too much. So I mean, is there anything that they could have done? I don't think my personal opinion. I don't think there was anything that Chiefs could have done to stop the Bucs defense. I don't.
The way Mahomes is running around, I'm picturing like the play call was like one of those like spirographs, you know. Just
Didn't they say that like Mahomes had like 400 something yards,
500 yards on the ground,
before, like just scrambling before he threw the ball?
Yep. Just scrambling, and most of those, he wasn't even pressured in the pocket yet. It was just him trying to find room to make a play, trying to get Tyreek open or Travis Kelce open, but they were so well covered that it just didn't happen. And unfortunately for the Chiefs, while they are going to keep the majority of their offensive players next year, and it all depends on what they do in the draft, I don't think they'll do anything in free agency because, like Marcus said, a lot of their money's tied up into their contract. So unless they can trade for players or what have you, but their offensive line is really going to be just determine how next season for them is going to be. And the Broncos should take advantage of that just in case the Chiefs aren't able to reinforce their offensive line. And, hopefully we get all our guys back and, we can give the Chiefs hell and finally end this loss drought against them.
Jason O'Neill, new to this pod. How's Broncos country tonight? What's up, Jason? Welcome in.
Hey.
We're pretty good. I bought a slushie before I came in, and now it's all sank to the bottom, so I got to dig through ice. But other than that, we're good.
They have 7-Elevens in Nebraska?
No, Casey's.
Oh.
We are not sponsored by them. But if they want to give us money, we'll take it.
6.5, 10.5.
I've never heard.
Let's see here. There's another one I saw. Oh, Raul. How funny was to you guys seeing TB12 being carried off the boat? I mean, honestly, like it's not like none of us have ever drank, and he's got 7 Lombardis. Like, drink away, my friend.
It almost made me like him for a second, and I stopped.
Who was it that was carrying him? Was that Blaine Gabbert?
I don't think so.
Maybe. No, Blaine
just looked like staff.
Like a security guy.
I was completely cool with it until the video of him throwing the Lombardi, and then it's like, okay.
Hey, listen.
Now you're just kind of being a butthole. Like, don't be tossing the Lombardi. How many people do you think would have dove in the water if that thing would have hit?
Did you hear his daughter when he's throwing it? His daughter goes, "Dad, no!"
Yeah.
Launching it. But yeah, Dan Patrick was calling him.
He's drunk.
TB 12 pack today, which I thought was pretty funny.
TB 12 pack. You know what? I can't blame him. If I were him, you can even honestly make the argument that it was long overdue. I mean, the man
for him to throw a trophy.
To get drunk and just
okay.
to throw a trophy, anybody intoxicated would think that's a great idea. But it's a miracle that he didn't do it when he won the Lombardi the first 6 times. But then again, Glenn, maybe you can be to this. Having a parade in February in New England is nowhere near compared as to a boat parade, which I don't think has ever been done in the history of sports, unless I'm mistaken.
Dude, I am so shocked that there was not sinking boats or boats ramming into each other.
So they did have a mishap with the Lombardi up here. One of the years that it's traditional for opening day at the Red Sox game. If the Patriots have won, they come out from the Green Monster. There's a door there, and they walk out. And before they came out, Gronk was swinging the Lombardi like a bat. Tossed the ball, and he hit it, and it dented it.
That was on the news. That's actually
that just makes sense, though. That's out of anyone that you would expect Gronk to do something like
that. Brady's got 7. Gronk's got 4.
4. Yeah, he's got 4.
So I mean, I get it, but come on, don't be chucking the Lombardi between boats. Calm it down. You want to throw some beers? Go ahead. Not the children. Okay, not the Lombardi.
You gotta believe that Bruce Arians and all the Tampa Bay front office held their breath because they were probably thinking the same thing. If that thing hits the water, who's gonna dive in for it?
All the divers.
Bruce Arians was too busy taking care of his 95-year-old mother that's still there.
Yeah.
My gosh.
Did you hear the story about Arians' wife had never met Tom Brady? She met him at the podium when they were awarding the Lombardi at the Super Bowl.
I mean, all things considered, that makes sense, though, right? I mean, with all the COVID procedures and the brand new year, and then he's 43 and he won the Super Bowl. It's
well, they are down in Florida, so I figured it might have been a complete.
I will only give Tom Brady respect if he wins his Lombardi with every single team in the NFL. So he's going to have to play for another 30 years.
Are you spreading
take that, Tom Brady?
32 Lombardis, or you get no respect from the Broncos wizard. There you go, Brady.
He can handle that.
Yeah. All right. So two things to kind of gloss over because AJ Boye, I mean, he got released. We kind of saw that coming. I mean, he's still got 2 game suspension left next season. So, I mean, we kind of expected him to get released. And then they signed D tackle Isaiah Mack. Don't even know who that is. I'm not saying he's not important, but never heard of him.
He's in his 3rd year. It's just it's not going to be anything crazy. It's just depth. I mean, or at least a camp guy. We'll see if he actually I don't know if he'll actually make it to 53 eventually, but it's whatever.
Glenn thought that was me.
That
was the guy running on the field. Was that a song or was that a that was like a thong all like a
that's a onesie. A onesie. No, it was a onesie, I think.
It's the Borat. The Borat
onesie.
But
I was disappointed that the guy didn't try to dive into the end zone. He did the quarterback slide. He ended up short of the goal line.
Down like the 1.5.
This comment
call was the best.
The Brady is the Betty White of QB. No, because everyone likes Betty White. No one likes Tom Brady. You can't don't do Betty White like that.
Yeah, I actually like Brady.
I wouldn't say that I like the guy. I respect the guy. You have won 7 Lombardis. You earn my respect. Do I like you? No, because you win all the time, and it's too much.
But he puts the work in. He probably had 1 beer yesterday because
I don't care. No, he was smashed on White Claws. I'm telling you right now.
It's gonna look weird in August or whenever they get their rings. You're gonna see 6 blue and white rings and then 1 giant red ring that's going to probably look evil, or however the Bucks are going to design their.
Instead of making another ring for Brady, they should just combine the 7 into like one massive ring. So he puts it on his middle finger and it covers his entire top of his hand.
You should just make a Thanos glove at this point.
Yeah, a gauntlet.
The Infinity Gauntlet. But there's 7.
You could be like the rapper and embed it into his forehead.
So he has more rings than Thanos has gemstones. Take
that, Thanos.
Yeah, but if I'm not mistaken, Shaquille Barrett is going to walk in there with his Super Bowl 50 ring. So
now, okay, so I did hear a story that, I didn't hear it. It was on NFL.com. Shaq Barrett talking about how he's wanting to get paid this offseason.
The whole reason he left Denver was because he wanted the money. So.
Yeah, but now he's talking like big contracts.
Well, isn't he on a franchise tag right now? I don't remember.
I don't know, to be honest with you. But the whole reason he said he wanted to.
I think he is.
That's Levante David that's getting ready to hit free agency, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that's David.
Does he have a
year?
They both are free agent?
They're both available.
Oh, are they?
Well, I do know that Arian said that
he's on a 1 year, 15.
Shaq was?
Shaq is, yeah. So
okay. Well, I do know that Arian said that he's not going to let David go. Like he wants David back, which I mean, you would obviously do. I hope that he goes to Denver? Yeah, I love Levante David. Do I think that? And it's the same thing with Watson. Like, do I want him to come to Denver? Yeah. Do I think he's going to leave Houston? No. Do I think that the Bucks are going to let Levante go without a fight? No. So.
Mike was actually on. Mike, you've been on the Levante David train for a long time, and
I've been on a lot of this stuff for a long time because I'm a savant. Just so you know,
idiot savant.
Yeah.
Oh!
He was thinking it. We were thinking it. He said it. But it'll be interesting to see how Tampa Bay manages their money. There was an article that was published that said that Mike Evans was willing to restructure his contract to put more money into the salary cap for Tampa Bay. So it'll be pretty much come down to see who wants to look for more money elsewhere and who wants to stay and, believe that, they can do it again. Levante David could be one of them. Shaq Barrett could be one of them. But like I was trying to say to Mike, the reason Shaq Barrett left Denver in the first place was because, and I quote, he said he wanted that Von Miller money. So it'll be interesting to see what he chooses to do come March.
Well, and you kind of wonder, like with Brady saying that he's coming back. He said he wants to play until after he's 45. He said he's coming back next year. How many of the old guard players are going to want to come into Tampa that are getting close to retirement, are still good, but getting close to leaving, that want a Super Bowl ring?
Adrian Peterson has already come out and said he wants to join the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Yeah, so I mean, how many of the old guard are we looking at wanting to head over to Tampa and willing to take a very sizable pay cut to go to Tampa? So,
well, if you're Shaq Barrett and Levante David, why would you leave? Money, not to mention the tax breaks in Florida, there's no state income tax, so that multi-million-dollar contract is worth even more. So.
Hey, all I'm gonna say is, and I heard Shannon Sharp say this today on Undisputed: Super Bowl rings don't pay the rent. So
depends on how much you sell it for.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just found it funny, and the man has a point.
I think you get like $52,000 bonus when you win the Super Bowl, so it'd pay my rent.
So I was just thinking, if JPP waved at Tyreek Hill, would he have been called for taunting?
Probably.
I would say so, yeah.
What? Okay, so what is going on with this Russell Wilson trade talk? Like,
well, the
comment he made didn't even sound like he was all that angry. He was just saying like, "Hey, I'm getting sacked too much."
Well, no, Russell Wilson was at the Super Bowl with his wife, and basically Schottenheimer became the scapegoat for the reason why the Seahawks offense in the second half of the season just went, down and cost me my fantasy season. But it basically sounds like Russell Wilson is just he's getting tired of being chased around, kind of like what Mahomes was being done to. That's basically what Russell Wilson has been doing since after they won that Super Bowl in 2013. He's just been getting chased, and Seattle is just so pinch penny. And they've upgraded the parts of the defense and wide receivers, but their running back game is struggling, and their offensive line, with the exception of what they did with Dwayne Brown, getting him from Houston, was probably the last thing you can say in terms of them trying to upgrade their offensive line. So it sounds like Russell Wilson gave the Seahawks an ultimatum, like, hey, you guys find me some protection, or maybe not this offseason, but the next offseason I could be looking to, go elsewhere.
Yeah. I'll squash this year thing because it's I think 39 mil in dead cap if they trade him. So he's not leaving this season. Maybe he's just like kind of passive aggressively threatening, but they need to. I mean, they'll give him some more offensive line help, maybe. I don't know, and then he'll be fine. But it's definitely not happening this season.
He's been sacked almost 400 times in his career. I mean, that's just sacked. I mean, how many hits has he had? It's got to be
at least 400.
Yeah. To be fair, though, mobile quarterbacks are like, people think that they're even better with offensive lines, but offensive lines, they create a pocket for you to stand in, and so when you run outside that pocket, often now that's when the holds happen a lot more. I mean, that's when your offensive linemen they can't do anything anymore because now you're outside the pocket. Now these defensive ends, these safeties, these cornerbacks are coming for you, and they can't do anything. So I mean, it's kind of a back and forth thing.
So what Boggins is saying is, if you have a mobile quarterback, have a really bad offensive line, and then he'll be really good.
Sure.
Okay, so there's two comments in here. One I'm excited for. The other one I'm gearing up.
I know which one you're excited about.
Chad, right here. If we stick with Locke, who would you guys like to see back him up? I think I'd prefer Fitzmagic. Yeah, sign him right now. I don't care. Sign him right now.
That's going straight to the top.
I mean, me personally, I still don't think it's Tua time in Miami. I still think that Brian Flores messed up bringing in Tua up so early for no reason. The Dolphins were on a winning streak. They were on a roll, and the change, and then he messed it up when he put in Fitzpatrick towards the end of that game in Denver, because then he just opened up a Pandora's box where it's like, when Fitzmagic does leave Miami, can Brian Flores really count on Tua to be that clutch guy when he needs him to put a touchdown in or do whatever to win the game? So if Fitzmagic does happen to come to Denver, I wouldn't mind him playing behind Julock, but and I've said this before, to be honest with you, when Fitzmagic got benched for no reason, that really hurt, especially for a guy like of his caliber and all the teams he's played for in career-wise or whatever. So I don't think that Fitzmagic wants to go to a team as a backup. And I could be wrong about that, but if he would decide to come to Denver and play behind Drew Lock, I'd have no problem with it.
When he was benched, actually, there was an interesting point that was made. Why are we so hung up on the fact that a backup quarterback can come in and relieve a struggling starter? They equated. I can't remember who had made the point, but I thought it was worth remembering at least. And it said that they equated it to a starting pitcher and a relief pitcher. Just because a reliever comes in when the starting pitcher starts struggling and the team is going down, isn't a long-term reflection on the state of the starter. And I thought that was an interesting point. Not that you want to be pulling your starter every game, but it's not a bad thing when they're really bombing out to get someone else that you think is capable. Problem is we didn't have anyone capable behind us. Driscoll was just a disaster.
Driscoll.
And all the money we paid him.
Mark Langley. How you guys feel about Locke in year 3? I'm going to go first. Because I got okay. So I'm gonna double down on what I've said basically the entire year. I think that they're going to stick with Locke for at least the first 4 games, which would be the first quarter of the season. I also believe that they're going to sign a veteran backup. Now, here's my problem. If Drew Lock is going to be the franchise quarterback, why is George Payton on every single available quarterback for trade or free agent in the NFL? If Drew Lock is the future franchise quarterback, why are we talking about them signing a competent backup just in case Drew Lock fails? If he was that good of a quarterback, we would not be having this massive discussion on what good free agent we need to bring in just in case Drew Lock fails. And the reason I say that is because Drew Lock showed a season full of failure. When you look at a rookie quarterback, you see consistent good play, not great, but good play with flashes of bad. And you work on fixing the bad. Drew Lock was consistently bad and showed flashes of good. It needs to be the opposite. So that is why I am not on the Drew Lock train. I think they give him 4 games, but I'm not a fan. And that's as nicely as I can say it.
Me personally, my 2 cents is I think at this point, George Payton is pretty much just doing it for publicity in terms of saying, Drew Lock is the franchise guy. But in hindsight, and I mean that behind closed doors, I think that Payton is trying to hit a home run with one of these quarterbacks. He tried with Matt Stafford. He could try for Deshaun Watson, and if Russell Wilson were to ever hit the market for some reason, he would try for that. He's gonna try, and he's made that clearly capable that he is going to try, because Drew Lock was only safe under the John Elway regime, but that was over. I don't think anybody in the Broncos organization, let alone Broncos country, had in mind or thought that John Elway was going to get promoted or whatever, not be GM anymore. However you want to say, yeah. So I'm pretty sure that hearing that Drew Lock got nervous. I know Vic Fangio got nervous. His entire coaching staff got nervous because the new GM is not going to have any connection or ties with anybody on this team. So if George Payton feels that somebody on the coaching staff is not living up to par, would be a better fit, just like last year. Out of nowhere, Scangarello got booted, and they brought in Pat Shurmur. So there's a lot. I'm telling you guys, this free agency is going to be so crazy because there's going to be moves done by teams all around, especially with the reduced salary caps, that it could be one of the craziest offseasons we've seen in a while. But I really do hope that they give Drew Lock at least another chance to try to flourish under year 3 of not having to change offensive coordinator. Hopefully Drew Lock can work on his accuracy and his other mistakes that he's been trying to get over that he couldn't get over last season, and just basically try to see what we have in him before George Payton gets rid of him. And if Payton does go out and get one of these big name quarterbacks and decides that, hey, we're going to go with him and, maybe even use Drew Lock as trade bait, then it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm definitely in the, I'm not black or white about this situation. I think that he should progress this next year, at least somewhat. God, I hope so. I mean, people talk about give him a full off season. Well, he had pretty much the same amount of off season he'll most likely get this year. It's going to be his second year in a system for the first time in 6 years. So that's one positive, because he obviously processes pretty slowly, and that's not necessarily a big ding on him, but he processes slowly. And I think that that's something that he'll have to work on. Now, he has the weapons to do my biggest fear is mediocrity, because he has so many weapons around him and he can perform decently enough. But we don't have the defense that we did in 2015, where we can just shut teams down and then our offense can be mediocre. So I think I'm in agreeing with Peyton as far as trying to see or reach out to the higher options, like the higher ceiling options, like Stafford comes available, I'm going to test the waters. Deshaun comes available, I'm going to test the waters, of course. But I also have probably the cheapest starting quarterback in the league who is young and has shown some sort of progression. The locker room seems to like him to a certain extent. I mean, he has something. He's just inconsistent, which was his complete draft profile, was pure inconsistency. He has like a ceiling and then under the floor. So it's just kind of like a we'll see. But I think 85% chances that we're just gonna start with him and have a backup, veteran backup like an Andy Dalton, Jacoby Brissett, or something along those lines come in.
Fitzmagic!
For Fitzmagic, who is 75.
There's no other option.
There's no okay.
Wow.
Marcus was intentionally bypassing that name, by the way.
Well, okay. I will say one thing, though. And Glenn, you and I talked about it. I'm also a massive fan of Alex Smith. And the Washington football team.
I think it'll cost too much.
But they did just sign Heineke to, was it 2-year contract?
2-year.
And I'm not saying that like that's going to make him the starter, but that does give them more of an option of not resigning or re-signing Alex Smith. So I would also consider Alex Smith if that's an option. But Fitzmagic!
Maybe.
I have to agree with Boggins on Drew. I mean, I was so all in going into this season. I think that there's so much potential there. I mean, the team obviously believed it. Their whole draft was to get him squared away and just provide him with the weapons that he needed. But there really is no rhyme or reason. You don't go into a game knowing if he's going to be hot or if he's going to be a disaster. And that's the worst part about it, is there is no consistency. And George Payton would not be doing the Broncos any justice, and he would not be worthy of his job if he were not looking at some of these other quarterbacks. I think Stafford in LA is going to throw for over 5,000 yards next year if he stays healthy. I mean, he had all these list of injuries that just came out this year, and he played all 16 games. He's the type of guy that we had to look at. It is a relief to hear Mike Kliss say that the Broncos have had no conversations about bringing Carson Wentz in, which is
thank God.
That was one that is a smart move not to do. But these other guys, I mean, can you imagine Russell Wilson dropping no one throws a better deep ball than that. Can you imagine him dropping bombs to KJ Hamler or Jerry Jeudy or Cortland Sutton? I mean, that would be just ridiculous. But
that would have to mean that Sherman schemed that, though. He doesn't like his deep ball.
I saw a question about, do I think we're going to draft a QB? I just
got a whole lot of comments here to catch up on.
Yeah.
Mike.
You guys were talking. I don't want to interrupt. Mark Langley. Oh, Mandangas, how do you feel about Juwan James, hairless wonder? Oh, I don't want to feel anything on that, man. Richie Rich, we need better offensive line play. It'll be interesting to see where we end up if we can score rushing touchdowns in the red zone. That will help Drew. If it also didn't help that Elway wanted us to be the Chiefs. Now, I'm going to push back on that a little bit because I do believe the Broncos had the 12th ranked offensive line, and they were like top 5 in allowing sacks. So they didn't allow a lot of sacks. So I don't know where you're getting the better offensive line play from. Like, the only way they'd be any better is if they were top 10 and top 2. So the offensive line was fine. It wasn't an offensive line problem.
Well, that kind of leads into another story about the running backs in the red zone. Philip Lindsay is just not a happy camper. Certainly made it known that he's not a fan.
Philip Lindsay isn't a red zone running back either. Neither is all these tight end. What are those called? The scoop pass. It's the tight end pitch things that Shimmer is trying to do. I don't think we have. I mean, we have Melvin Gordon. Whenever we got Melvin Gordon, I mean, goal line is goal line, man. You have the whole entire box filled. I mean, they know it's coming, and when you just do a basic. Shermer doesn't like to do a lot of shifts. It's not like a Shanahan run offense. If it was a Shanahan run offense, they'd be in the end zone. But he doesn't do a ton of shifts. It doesn't a ton of anything. It's pretty basic stuff. So, like, I wouldn't put it on the line though. I actually have a lot of faith in the line this next year. Just right tackle is the biggest concern. Right guard is probably our biggest strength, actually.
And to back up Boggs' point, and that's Shermer coming from the Giants, who had Saquon Barkley to, help make improve and, be a monster, like put up Derrick Henry numbers, and it did it. Like Saquon Barkley had some good games here and there, but he didn't put up what Derrick Henry has been doing the last 2-3 years.
Mm-hmm.
The line is what I'm not worried about.
Right tackle to me is like our biggest worry, and Rich and I have talked about this as well. Obviously Cushenberry struggled this season, but he was a rookie. Going into next season, Cushenberry has to have shown what he learned in his first year as center. He has to show improvement. He has to show resiliency. He cannot go in there making those exact same mistakes. Glasgow has been I say that he didn't really live up to that big contract he had. He wasn't the worst, but he wasn't at his best. So hopefully he can come back next season and be better. And Dalton Reisner, he had a really good year 2 years ago, but last year I felt like he got pushed around a little bit more. The only person that surprised the hell out of everybody in Broncos country was Garrett Bowles, who got snubbed out of a Pro Bowl. He should have made it, and he actually earned his contract extension.
I'll fight back a little bit because I think Cushenberry, one, made the all-rookie team at the end of the year. Two, the two guards had to deal with his growing pains in a COVID year and not getting any OTAs and immediately starting as a third-round center. So, I mean, there was some obvious growing pain, and no one ever called him he's not a big enforcer, pusher. Like, he's just a smart center. And I agree with right tackle, though, but also Glasgow had injuries, and I think there was so much interchanging going on there that it was just kind of a cluster at certain points. But they definitely progressed, and offensive line is one of my least worries for next year. I think we're stacked at right guard between Glasgow and Moody. Like, I think you're good. Right tackle is definitely the biggest thing, though.
Yeah.
Well, and we're gonna have the Nair spokes model come back, so we'll be fine. No problems at all. Chad, so do you see us drafting a quarterback in the first or riding it out another year? This one's tough because like I was a fan of Micah Parsons, and like talent wise I still am, but like off the field issues, don't touch him. Don't go
you gotta go fairly. Now that Bouye is gone, you gotta go fairly.
This is the thing though, like I wasn't a fan of first-round quarterbacks unless you went after like Zach Wilson or Trevor Lawrence. But like, I'm starting to come around to Mac Jones a little bit, and like that, that may make me an outlier. But like, I see Mac Jones like in between Rippon and Locke. Like, he's smarter than Locke, but he's got more arm talent than Rippon.
Barely.
Can you pass me some of what you're drinking, Mike? Because it's got to be better than mine.
Yeah, it's Mountain Dew slushy.
What he said?
Because that is just outright crazy, man.
Well, I'm just saying, and that would be like a trade back option because I do think that Mac Jones is going to go in the first round. I think. So and that's what I'm saying. Like, if we can't get one of those two, I wouldn't mind trading back and going after like a Mac Jones. Me personally, go get Zach Wilson. That's who I would rather have. Do I think they're going to trade up to get him? No, probably not. It'll probably be Farley or Surtain would be probably one of the two I'm thinking they're going to get in the first.
And Kenneth Booker brings up a good point, and Rich and I actually talked about this, that the Cowboys put up a hype video and Dak Prescott wasn't in it. So, and it wasn't a mistake, as the Cowboys camp would have you believe. And it could be a sign that, there could be some rough tension between, Jerry Jones and Dak Prescott. And he could not be the guy starting for the Cowboys next season, especially since one person thinks that Andy Dalton and Dak Prescott are literally just as good as each other, which I totally disagree. This one.
So are you saying it's like one of those, it's like when Vaughn cropped Elway out of the picture when he was mad at him?
Oh, yeah.
This is kind of interesting. Raul is wondering if Houston and Dallas would exchange quarterbacks.
I don't see that.
I don't see that either.
It's interesting to think about. I mean, that would at least be somewhat close, like not that close, but somewhat close.
They're not divisional rivals, but they're definitely rivals.
Mm-hmm.
And they would never. I don't, because God forbid they know Dak can play too, and so like God forbid they send him off there and they do well, or Texans send it to the Cowboys, and so the Cowboys have Deshaun Watson. Like that's not a thing.
And I mean it's Jerry Jones and the Cowboys. Like he's not going to give up Dak Prescott without a massive fight.
Yeah.
Oh, and I mean with as much money as they've got, like they would drive up the price on Dak so high, nobody else would be able to bid on him. So
I don't remember was the question. Do we or would I?
Do they see us drafting a quarterback in the first round?
I think we'll learn a lot about Peyton and how he views the quarterback position. I think that I'm a big proponent of QB first, as far as like I want that generational talent, because no matter what you have around you, you're still going to be somewhat competitive, and then you can slowly build that around you. And if you are trying to swing for the fences and get someone, like a Zach Wilson, or even a Trey Lance, who is will take a while, someone that you think can be that generational talent potentially, then you swing for it. But if it's something that you believe the Broncos are closer right now, and you'd rather, probably more of a Fangio style of, building around and then getting a play, because I'm sure Fangio would love a Mac Jones, someone that won't cause a lot of mistakes, will get the I think Mac Jones would be great in the Shermer offense for sure. I think that's Shermer's style of quarterback. Absolutely. One of the smart, quick reads, like, but I would throw things if they got Mac Jones. For sure. I would, yeah. He's a lesser Daniel Jones. So if you want to know the Pokemon evolution, it goes Mac Jones, Daniel Jones, Joe Burrow. Those are.
Dude,
so
I'm telling you right now, this is the only Denver Broncos podcast where we talk about Harry Potter openly, football, and Pokemon.
Yeah. So, Pokemon.
Whatever. Find me another one. Boggins, I've been saving this one for you.
Wouldn't it behoove, just one final point on the QB part, wouldn't it behoove Drew Lock to maybe get some outside coaching, like a Jordan Palmer or Tom House or something? So one of these other gurus that have helped these other players. I have not heard any talk that's a possibility that he'll be.
That's what he should have done. Like, I don't understand why he didn't do that.
He goes and works out with his buddy in Kansas City. I don't hear anything about any of these other quarterback coaches that have brought some of these prominent players to greatness. I would love to.
Didn't Manning had the coach from Duke helping him out in the off seasons when he was going from Indy to Denver, trying to work out the neck and work out the arm and the shoulder. And so I never understood why Drew didn't do that. Like, if he had done that, that's where you fix the footwork. That's where you fix the read progressions. That's where you fix that stuff.
I think he works with Jordan Palmer. I think Jordan Palmer works for a lot of people. Yeah, Carson Palmer's brother.
Right. That's what I've not seen.
Was he on The Bachelor?
Jordan Palmer? I don't know.
Well, that was Roger's brother.
Roger's brother.
No, I'm pretty sure you're wrong. Pretty sure it was Jordan Palmer.
No, it's Rogers. Absolutely. I watched it.
Mike, you're adorable.
Hold on. I try.
I
saved that.
My fiance makes me watch Bachelor. Don't think I don't watch Bachelor. I know things now.
I was just about to say somebody's girlfriend, wife, or fiance has to make him watch that show.
Yeah.
Which is why Boggins started this episode.
She's putting her fist up. Yeah.
And Marcus beat me to it.
Boggins started this episode by saying, now the most dramatic episode of MHRT.
Starts now.
I saved that draft.
Only two of us left.
Okay. So I don't see the Broncos picking up a RB probably till at least round 3, which I have a couple of people. I'd really like Chuba Hubbard, just because I'd like to say Chuba Chubb a lot. Little Bradley Chubb, little Chuba Hubbard. Okay, I'm done. And then probably I really like Javonte Williams. He's like a little Frank Gore. He's not huge, but he has some of the go watch his tape. His balance is the craziest I've like ever seen. Just he'll pound into someone and it won't matter. He'll just turn around and keep running every single time. I think that's more of our range as far as running backs go. Maybe a Trey. Oh gosh, oh no, from Ohio State. I'm forgetting his name. Trey Sermon. Thank you. Maybe a Trey Sermon who's coming off with a collarbone injury or whatnot, so he'll probably fall a little bit. But I think we're out of the Travis Etienne or Najee Harris range as far as need if we lose Philip Lindsay. So,
timeout. Palmer was cast in 2004 as The Bachelor on the 5th season of the reality television series The Bachelor. Boom! Eat my shorts.
Okay, well, look up the Rogers one because he's there too.
Thank you, Mr. Simpson.
You're welcome. Let's see here. I need to grab another beer. Must retain my attention. That's right.
True.
That's my co-host.
Okay.
As he grabs a Zima out of the fridge.
Zima in one hand, White Claw in the other.
That's right. Good point.
Let's go with. Let's talk a little bit about Philip Lindsay before we go.
He's gone.
He went after Shermer a little bit, but I was reading a tweet from Eric Trickle where he was saying that if you look into what Lindsay said, like I think it was 56% of his carries were outside the tackles. And so like the complaints that he was having just don't track with what actually happened. So it seems like he just wants out. Like he's just done, which I think he was done anyways. I mean, I can see why they didn't really believe in Lindsay because he does get hurt every year multiple times. So, I mean, he's missed multiple games every season. I love the guy, but he's hurt all the time.
Yeah, I actually talked about this before too. Like I love Philip Lindsay. I had high hopes for him when Melvin Gordon got signed last year, but everybody was just so focused on what Melvin Gordon was being paid to do, and you kept hearing it everywhere on social media that, Melvin Gordon is not worth $16 million and all this stuff. And I was just trying to convince people like, stop worrying so much about the money. Okay. That part is already done. He signed. You can sit and cry about it all you want. It's not going to change anything. What we wanted to see was that 1-2 punch. Melvin Gordon being the big running back, and Philip Lindsay being the small running back trying to run in between the tackles. And unfortunately, Lindsay, because of turf toe, because of concussion, and I forget what other injury he had during the year, it kept holding him back. And every time he wanted to come back better and stronger than he was before, it was always some kind of setback. And that just put more pressure on Melvin Gordon, trying to be the guy trying to carry the team. And not every single running drive that Gordon was in was great. He obviously had a good game against the Jets, and he had a good game against the Chargers the first time around. But he also had four fumbles on the season. So I do hope that Philip Lindsay, I get it. He's frustrated. Hopefully he can work out those frustrations. And if he does want out of Denver, then, hey, good luck to him.
It was Jordan Rogers on season 12, by the way.
Jordan, okay, thanks, man. Yeah, I think there's no way Philip Lindsay is back next year. As much as I love him, he's always going to be the Colorado kid. He's always going to earn. I think he did earn that number 30 for sure, setting records, being the first undrafted running back or undrafted 1,000-yard Pro Bowl. There's just no place for him in Shermer offense, man. Like you when you have Philip Lindsay in the backfield, it's coming. You know that it's going to be a run play. You know that if it is a pass play, he can't block anybody. You know that if he actually does go for a pass, there's a decent chance he might drop it. So it's I love him, but I want him to go off into greener pastures with his new family and get some money somewhere. Go to the Niners where they know how to utilize a running back, like a running back that can just straight run, or Tennessee, a little thunder and lightning,
So, Marcus,
so,
I was just going to ask you, what is there any way we could transition tag him and get something, or is it just a lost cause because of his?
Well,
you can
he's
tender him. You can tender him, but I'd put a pretty low tender on him because or just let him walk. I honestly don't see, like, you didn't even see Shermer try. You didn't even see Shermer try to really incorporate him much into the passing game at all. So I just don't see him coming back whatsoever. I don't think they even try and tender him. They just let him go and say, go make your money, man.
And we were thinking like a second round tender, like a couple weeks ago. It's probably like 5th or 6th, if that.
But I don't think you get anything at that level because of his undrafted free agent status.
Right. Yeah. All right. So let's get one big one before we get going. That's Mark Langley again. What do we do with Miller? I still think that they try to re-sign him and restructure his contract. I still think that's going to happen. I can't promise that Miller's going to sign it. I would love to keep him, but if they're going to let him go, they better have a better backup plan than Reed. I mean, Reed was good, but he's not Von Miller. So I still think they try to restructure his contract, but I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't have Von Miller next year.
Yeah, I'll try to keep this short. Von Miller, I say that he delivered a pretty cryptic message. What was it, last week or 2 weeks ago, when he deleted all Broncos media and whatnot from his Instagram page for a little bit, and then it just came back. So to me, that's just kind of like a message from him saying like, hey, don't forget about me, or let's sit down and talk. Let's try to work something out. But I personally think that Von Miller wouldn't do as great outside of Denver in terms of, trying to get a bigger contract, in terms of team chemistry, because he's not the same player he was when he was in Super Bowl 50 in terms of, physicality. His mind is still as sharp as it is. And I'm pretty sure he's been trying to keep up with, strength and conditioning and all that stuff during the offseason. So me personally, I do hope that Denver re-signs him and that he stays and retires a Bronco.
I do think a lot of it depends on this investigation. It was weird that it came out, and then by the next day, we haven't heard another word from it. I do believe that depending on the findings of the police and what gets filed is really going to lead the Broncos to their next step. And if it amounts to nothing, I think it's going to be where they approach him about a restructure. If they let him go, I could see Dallas trying to pick him up, a Texan, a big name. I could see Dallas trying to pick him up for that defense.
I don't. I think it's definitely a toss up. I think because we have Peyton, and no one wants to come in as a GM, and the first thing they do is take away one of your future Hall of Famer, Super Bowl MVP. But also there's a lot of stuff that's hanging against Von right now with the allegations, whatever the issue is, the 18 mil, if he's even going to restructure instead of hanging up the phone. He's coming off an injury. He's over 30. I mean, there's a pile of laundry, of dirty laundry there that it's going to be tough. So it's literally weighing what's the worth or what kind of influence Peyton wants to make. But I wouldn't be surprised if they let him walk and he looks at Malik Reed and is just like, you'll do for now. Or it's a deep edge draft too. So I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they're just like, let's save 18 million, especially if they end up going after, if we get like a Deshaun or something, or I don't think it's going to happen. But if we did get a Deshaun Watson where it's going to be more pricey in the future, I definitely would see them just being like, well, sorry, Vaughn, bye.
All right, guys. Well, I'm pretty sure we got to all the questions in the comments. We had a lot, which is awesome. I love getting questions in the comments. We're going to go ahead and head out. We got some other things we got to get done, but we do appreciate every single one of you for being in here. We're making a big push on Facebook, so anything you can do, follow, like, subscribe on YouTube, Twitter, our Facebook page. Again, we're live every Thursday, 7654. You know what to do with those numbers. We appreciate you. We love you. No other podcast. You're going to get Zima and White Claw and
Pokemon.
Pokemon, Pokemon, and The Bachelor all in one podcast. So enjoy and have a good week. We'll see you guys later.
Thank you, folks.